Welcome to Night Shadows. I'm Stewart Best, where the paranormal is normal, where that which you thought you knew, you didn't, and where the future can be known if you know exactly where to look.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks a lot for tuning in and listening. And we've got Larry on his mountaintop. Hi, Larry.
Hey, Stewart.
Before we get rolling here, I wanted to report on something that I was told that by a trucker that a lot of unmarked white vans are on the increase around the United States. Now, those are UN vehicles when they're unmarked and they're white like that. Anyway, just a warning to people, because if we send all of our troops overseas and we have a problem over here, who's going to defend the American people? There won't be anybody left. So anyway, just a warning. I'm a Psalm 2 fan, so I don't trust anybody. Anyway, Larry, what have you got on the latest for the Iran-American standoff?
Well, it's rather complicated, but anyway, ironically, Times of Israel was reporting, it says Israeli TV Channel 13 is reporting our GC has ruled out military strikes on U.S. bases.
Mm-hmm.
We're now focused on an attack upon Saudi oil production facilities, which means attacks against our oil.
Yeah, now this latest, it says Saudi oil tankers, including one bound for the United States. Now we're getting different numbers. Hit by sabotage attack amid Iran standoff. 2 tankers suffered significant damage after being attacked off the United Arab Emirates coast. Now, let's see where it talks about rising tensions. But what's your latest from Hal Turner? He's been the one that's really been picking up on a lot of this stuff. What can you tell us from there that he said something about Limpet, Limpet mines were attached to the oil tankers, blew up 7 to 10 of them. Now, this is where, of course, we're getting, and it said Iran's Special Marine Unit sabotaged tankers. I think that came from Israel. What's your take on all this? Is this a false flag? Is this something we could have done and blame it on Iran because we want the war? What do you think?
Well, we really don't know, because the U.S. invented the Limpet attachable mine where you could put it under the high water mark on a ship and explode it. But all nations now, according to some of the intel, all of them have their own variations, so everybody's got Limpet mines. What's interesting is Debka reported a little earlier this evening, it's a headline in Debka File, Iran's Special Marine Unit sabotaged Saudi tankers outside Fujairah port. That the port was outside the U.S., Saudi, and United Arab Emirates purview.
So they get this says 4 Saudi oil tankers. Well, were they all bound for the United States?
Well, that's information. Some of them were, and was U.S. headed. It was headed to U.S. oil, and actually there was scattered reports. There's some saying 7 to 10 vessels were hit, but they're not wanting to report that. Now, here's the latest from Hal Turner. Really interesting. It says, in the past 2 days, Iran has secretly moved 30 buses of militia to Damascus under the guise of pilgrimage bus movements. It says now large IDF aircraft, traffic activity over Lebanon, unconfirmed scuttlebutt of massive Israeli airstrikes being prepared against Iranian assets inside Syria. now that the USS Abraham Lincoln strike group is within strike range of Iran. Also, a note says the U.S. Navy stands by in case of a counterattack by Iran. And Hal Turner made a post. He just told people, said, be ready if oil jumps to $200 a barrel, then chaos.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. I think this is a ripple effect that people aren't probably taking into consideration. The gas could go. Remember, Steve Quayle had a vision where gas was at $9.95 a gallon, and that is if you could buy it. And that would cripple our economy almost overnight because, you know, most people do commute to work. And they drive fairly long distances. They wouldn't be able to afford to do it. So the ripple effects on this would be horrendous, I can think. Anyway, on this article from Debkafile also says to show the U.S. and oil or Gulf oil nations, Tehran doesn't need to block the Strait of Hormuz in order to disrupt Gulf's oil exports to international markets. Well, wouldn't that be basically declared an act of war anyway by Trump and those people?
Well, Stewart, you heard Trump today giving a threat to Iran if they interfered with any of our assets or our allies.
Yeah, and blowing up oil tankers bound for the United States is definitely interfering. Even if they don't sink them, if they put them out of commission, they're blocking it. And here's what Pompeo said: our aim is not war. Pompeo insists as the U.S. warships and bombers gather off the coast of Iran. And I've found a list of everything that we are going over there with. Wow, it's quite a list. Tons of firepower to take on Iran. Here's everything headed that way. Aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln. Now, I think they maybe have joined another one. Carrier air wing, fighters, electronic attack aircraft, early warning aircraft, rotary aircraft. The USS Light Gulf, Leyte, I don't know, Leyte Gulf, is a guided missile cruiser, our multi-role warships, heavily armed. Then we have another carrier air wing, which includes Super Hornets, 18G Growler electronic attack aircraft, E-2 Hawkeye early warning aircraft. Wow, I mean, B-52s, 4 destroyers, USS Brainbridge, USS Gonzales, USS Mason, USS Knights. Destroyers are also multi-mission vessels. And how many, then we got B-52s, we got the F-15 Eagles, we've got the F-35s over there. And then, which is kind of interesting, is an amphibious landing ship, the USS Arlington. Why would they be doing an amphibious landing unless they plan to attack? And also we have Patriot batteries over there now. This looks to me like war, doesn't it, to you?
Well, I have to admit it looks like war. Usually those landing ships, like the one you just read off, is full of Marines. And they would need the Patriot batteries. They would need the Patriot batteries as protection, air cover.
Well, I wonder if this hasn't been planned for a while. You just never know. Deep State, you know, they're into this with their up to their eye teeth, and they've said nothing of importance happens unless we planned it that way. So I think we can probably take that to heart. But that's quite the logistics to keep this thing going is incredible. And any other updates that you can talk about?
Yeah, I was just going to mention Yahoo News said that U.S. issues warning to world shipping amid reports of ships being sabotaged off the UAE coast. Iran possibly targeting oil shipments. And then also Hal Turner just put out one, I think you saw the video. America opens its arsenal, trainloads of tanks in desert paint heading to ports. Destination Iran, said trainloads of M1A2 Abrams tanks in desert color are moving to California ports, and also had a notice on their coming terror attacks inside the USA. Possible, get prepared.
Yeah, that's what's got me, because we read an article where he was going to activate, I don't know if it's happened yet, 100,000 of our troops to go to that area of the world. Have you heard any more about that? I know they were planning it or thinking about it. I don't know if they actually did it.
Well, the only thing or update I've got on that is says the Pentagon tasked with begin planning for massive Persian Gulf troop deployment. Pentagon asked to formalize plans for deployment of over 100,000 U.S. troops to an area of the Persian Gulf. And, of course, that's probably done under cover of darkness, if you will, and we're not going to get an update every time we turn around of that one. We won't probably hear a lot about that, but apparently it's in the mix.
Well, if they're planning a ground invasion, and it sounds almost like they are, if they're going to send in the Marines, I'm a little bit frightened by all this because I don't think we have the Lord on our side anymore. And this could go very, very badly for the United States. If you forget the God factor, you're in a lot of trouble. Anyway, that doesn't sound very, very good. And considering the logistics and the expense of moving all of this out over there, and what's going on with Israel? What's the latest on what's happening over there?
Well, the latest
wouldn't Israel take out Damascus?
Well, focusing on intel, the latest intel in Israel is intel of Iranian assets being moved secretly into Damascus. Well, that's a clue. And then also Israel knows that, Soleimani wants to attack the Golan and begin a fight there for the Golan Heights itself. And also Hezbollah in Lebanon are wanting to fire missiles on Israel, and Hamas wants to restart missile firings against Israel. So this could develop really quickly if they, as one article came out today, it said just one mistake will set off a dynamite.
Yeah. And folks, remember what today is. Tonight, over there, they are in their May 14th. This is their anniversary. We're moving into the 71st year of Israel, ending the 70th. So the timing of this is very, very suspect, because the Lord usually waits to the end of the 70th year and then begins whatever he's going to do in the 71st. And it may not be much longer. So keep your eyes wide open. And if you haven't prepared, you better, or your loved ones are really going to be looking at you kind of strange when they don't have anything to eat. So this is just a heads up for everybody. We only did 15 minutes because we just wanted to alert you about what's going on in that area of the world. And it looks like war to me, even if nothing is being said about it. You don't move that kind of artillery, those kind of military assets around on the cheap. So they're up to something, and we'll find out what it is. Don't believe anything they say. Watch what they do. Anyway, thanks a lot, Larry, for coming on, and we'll brief you again and give you an update if anything drastically happens. Anyway, good night, folks. Take care. Thanks a lot, Larry.